What if the number everyone is talking about right now is actually taking attention away from the information that matters most? The Iraqi dinar community has seen another wave of discussion surrounding a potential $2.01 IQD rate. The number is attracting attention because it sounds specific, powerful, and potentially life-changing. But before anyone treats $2.01 as a confirmed exchange rate, there is a much bigger question we need to answer. Where did this number come from, and is there any official evidence that Iraqi banks are actually using it? That is what we are going to examine today. The $2.01 claim is spreading because it fits perfectly into the long-running RV conversation. When people hear a precise number like $2.01, it can immediately create the impression that something has already happened behind the scenes. But there is a critical difference between a rumored future rate and an officially published exchange rate. As of the latest Central Bank of Iraq information available, the official data does not show one Iraqi dinar being worth $2.01. The CBI's current exchange rate information lists the US dollar at approximately 1,310 Iraqi dinars per US dollar. That means the $2.01 figure should currently be treated as an unverified claim, not as a confirmed bank rate. And this is exactly where investors and currency followers can become distracted. When a dramatic number begins circulating, people naturally start focusing on questions like, is the RV happening tonight? Will banks change their screens? Should I exchange now? Or, is $2.01 the new rate? But those questions can become a distraction if the underlying number itself has not been verified. The first thing to understand is that a genuine exchange rate change would be a major monetary event. The Central Bank of Iraq is responsible for monetary policy and exchange rate policy. A major change would not simply exist as a number on social media. It would have to be reflected through official financial channels and banking systems. That is why the most important signal is not a viral post. It is the official exchange rate information. The CBI's published data currently continues to show the dollar around the 1,310 Iraqi dinars level. And a recent CBI exchange rate bulletin dated August 2, 2026, also listed dollar buying and selling levels around 1,300. 1,310 and 1,320 Iraqi dinars. So where does that leave the $2.01 claim? It leaves us with an important distinction. The claim can be discussed. The possibility of future currency changes can be discussed. Economic reforms can be discussed. Banking reforms can be discussed. But the $2.01 rate itself should not be presented as confirmed unless an authoritative source actually publishes it. This is particularly important because precise numbers create psychological credibility. Think about the difference between someone saying, the dinar could become much stronger someday, and someone saying, the new rate is $2.01. The second statement sounds much more specific. It feels like someone has inside information. But specificity is not proof. A rumor can be extremely precise. A fake screenshot can contain a precise number. An edited banking image can contain a precise number. A social media account can publish a precise number. The only thing that turns a number into an official exchange rate is authoritative confirmation. And this is why today's discussion is really about signal versus noise. The signal is what Iraq's monetary authorities are actually doing. The noise is everything that gets added on top of those developments without official confirmation. Now, that does not mean there is nothing happening in Iraq. There are genuine banking and monetary developments worth watching. The central bank has continued working on banking sector reforms, financial stability, electronic payments, foreign exchange controls, and stronger regulatory frameworks. In June 2026, the CBI said it had completed procedures for reintegrating certain banks that had previously been restricted from dealing in US dollars, while emphasizing banking reform and monetary and financial stability. Those are real developments. But notice something important. A banking reform is not automatically a currency revaluation. Improving banking infrastructure does not automatically mean one dinar becomes worth $2. Strengthening compliance does not automatically create a $2.01 rate. Expanding electronic payments does not automatically confirm an RV. These developments can potentially contribute to a stronger and more modern financial system, but we should not jump from those facts to an unverified exchange rate conclusion. This is where the $2.01 discussion can become distracting. Instead of watching the actual reforms, people can become obsessed with one number. And if that number is wrong, attention is being directed away from the real story. The real story is Iraq's monetary and banking transformation. The real story is how the CBI manages exchange rate stability. The real story is how foreign currency transactions are being regulated. The real story is whether Iraq continues strengthening its financial infrastructure. Those developments are measurable, they can be documented, and they can be checked against official information. A $2.01 rumor, on the other hand, needs verification. Now let's imagine for a moment that Iraq actually did decide to make a dramatic change to the dinar's value. What would we expect to see? First, there would likely be an official announcement or formal documentation. Second, banks and financial institutions would need to receive instructions. Third, official exchange rate tables would have to reflect the change. Fourth, currency conversion systems would eventually show the new value. And fifth, international financial markets and institutions would have a reason to pay attention. That is why a genuine rate change would be very difficult to confirm through a single social media screenshot. A real monetary decision would leave multiple pieces of evidence. This is also why investors should be careful with phrases like bank screen rate, secret rate, back office rate, internal rate, or leaked rate. These phrases can sound exciting, but unless they are supported by verifiable documentation, they remain claims. And there is another important point. Even if someone believes that the Iraqi dinar could eventually appreciate significantly, that does not mean a specific rate can be predicted with certainty. Nobody should assume that $2.01 is guaranteed simply because the number is circulating. Nobody should assume that $3, $4, $6, or any other number is guaranteed either. The future value of a currency depends on monetary policy, economic conditions, foreign reserves, inflation, government decisions, market conditions, and many other factors. That is why responsible IQD coverage should separate what is known from what is expected and from what is rumored. What is known? The CBI's published exchange rate information currently shows approximately 1,310 Iraqi dinars per US dollar. What is known? Iraq continues working on banking and financial reforms. What is not confirmed? A current official exchange rate of $2.01 per Iraqi dinar. And that difference is extremely important. Now, if you're following the RV story, what should you watch instead? Watch the Central Bank of Iraq's official exchange rate publications. Watch official statements concerning monetary policy. Watch changes to banking regulations. Watch foreign exchange procedures. Watch developments in electronic payments and banking infrastructure. And watch for actual documentation rather than anonymous claims. Because the moment a legitimate rate change occurs, the strongest evidence will not be a YouTube thumbnail. It will be an official source. That is the kind of confirmation that can change the conversation. Until then, the $2.01 figure should remain exactly what it currently is, a claim that has attracted attention but has not been officially confirmed as the Iraqi dinar's exchange rate. And perhaps that is the biggest lesson from today's update. Sometimes the most viral number is not the most important information. A dramatic number can generate thousands of comments. A shocking rate can produce enormous curiosity. A leaked figure can spread across currency communities within hours. But investors should never confuse virality with verification. If the $2.01 claim eventually receives official confirmation, that would be a major development and would deserve immediate analysis. But until that happens, the smarter approach is to keep the number in the rumor category and continue watching the official data. The Iraqi dinar story is bigger than one rumored rate. It is about Iraq's monetary policy, banking reforms, financial stability, foreign currency management, and the country's broader economic direction. So don't let one number become the entire story. The 2.01 IQD claim is getting attention, but the official data is what deserves your attention. For now, there is no verified evidence in the current CBI exchange rate information showing that one Iraqi dinar is officially worth $2.01. The published CBI rate remains around 1,310 Iraqi dinars per US dollar. This is why anyone following the RV story should stay alert, but also stay disciplined. Watch the evidence, check the source, verify the date, and never make a financial decision based solely on an unverified exchange rate rumor. The next genuine development could be important, but when it comes, the strongest signal will come from official financial channels, not simply from how fast a number spreads online. And that is the real story behind the $2.01 IQD claim.